So what I'll tell you is what I remember. I will say that I have dash cam audio and video. I have witness statements. I have 911 calls. It helps me piece it a little bit together, but for me, I woke up because the phone was ringing. Turns out it was the lady who owns the bed and breakfast. I clicked the phone off. I don't know how that was still working. I clicked the phone off. I unbuckled my seatbelt. I was sideways in the car. My body wasn't straight. I mean, definitely the airbag had deployed, and my body was sideways in the car. And all I could see of Alon was his arm. Well, I'm going to leave it at that. So I look up, and then I see some of the first responders, and I gotta tell you, and I've said this a million times since, I've never seen anyone look so scared in my life. Like, scared. And young men looking very scared. To me, this all then seemed to take seconds. In my head, I was still in a lot of shock, so I'm going to throw that out there. One of the first responders, who I now know is an EMT, I believe, named Mike, as they were extracting me from the car, which, again, in my mind, happened in literally no time. In reality, they had to remove the windshield of the car. They had to pull back the roof. To get Alon, they literally had to break the rules of what you would need to do to make sure a human being that might have potential spinal injuries is not made worse. For lack of a better terminology. But all this in my mind is happening in seconds, and this is how it happened in my mind. They get the windshield off. Someone says I have a pulse. I now know, again, it's Mike. When that was said, I relaxed. Okay, Alon's okay. They pull me out of the car. I know they're pulling him out. We're on the ground. I know they're talking to me. I don't remember a thing they said. They put me in the helicopter. I know Alon's in the other helicopter. Again, in my head, this is happening in a matter of minutes. Later, I find out how long I really was lying on the ground. And actually, when we met the first responders, I was told, I'm so sorry we had to leave you there. Alon was our priority. I have no memory of just being left lying on the ground, I'm guessing. I have no memory of just being left there. The pain didn't hit until I was in the helicopter. And in the helicopter, one of the deputies from the sheriff's office, who I know who it is now, but at the time, I was just like, please God, don't come up and talk to me. He was coming up to talk to me, and I was like, please, I can't answer your questions. I'm sure I'm supposed to talk to you. I'm sure I'm supposed to tell you what happened. I'm sure that's not why he was coming to talk to me, but in my mind, this is what's going through my head. I can't talk to you right now. They're taking me to the hospital. I need to make sure they know who Alon is. Well, I kept thinking I'm talking to them. I'm writing notes, telling them who we are. I know this isn't true because we get to the hospital. We both have like John and Jane Doe names. I think I posted it. He was, one of us was Croatia and one of us was Serbia. Why they picked those two countries, I don't know. Again, I now know what was going on to find out who I was, which is an interesting insight into police work. So we get to the hospital. The pain is now full bore, like unbearable. I don't have any idea what's going on. They put me in an MRI, and then again, I'm still in shock. They leave me there. I am freaking out. I'm done. I feel like I'm done with the MRI, and I'm lying there, and there's no human in sight. I'm in unbearable pain at this point. And I don't know what's going on, where I am, where Alana is, what's wrong with me. And and I asked for more pain meds, which, if you know me, is not like me at all. Which later they were like, "Oh, you barely asked for any pain meds," but at that point, I was like, "You need to give me something." So they leave me on a table in the ER, I guess, and a social worker comes to talk to me and says, "Do you want to? Who should we call?" And I said, "Well, I guess I have to call my mom, but my dad just had surgery. They can't come up, so I don't know what to tell her." And I think I couldn't get through to my mom or something, or she ran, or I didn't know the phone number, which is, I'm sure I knew the phone number, but something. She and the social worker ran off. In the meantime, one of the doctors came to talk to me. Now, you guys know that I watch a lot of ridiculous TV, so I've seen Dateline and ER and Grey's Anatomy or whatever, and the doctor comes to talk to me and he says, we had to drill a hole in his brain, in his skull to let some of the pressure out. I'm like, okay, great. And again, my dad had just suffered a really bad brain bleed and had a bad brain injury, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, great, the swelling will go down, that's fine, I get it, I've heard that happens, you do that and the swelling will go down, his brain will be okay. This is my thinking. Again, I'm in shock. And the doctor looked at me like, holy crap, how am I supposed to get through to this woman? And I kind of feel sorry for him now. So they take me up to, so we're at this all happened in Dodge County, Wisconsin. We got choppered, thankfully, we were on the west coast of the county, west side of the county, and we got choppered to University of Wisconsin Hospitals in Madison. So truly, I couldn't have asked for a better hospital to go to. They have an amazing medical school, and though I don't know, Northwestern's pretty darn good. So there's the Children's Hospital, and then there's the University Hospital, and they're connected, but it's, at the time, I think they might have been doing some construction, and it's a long way to get there. So I get up to my room in the trauma wing. Didn't know there was a trauma wing, but there's a trauma wing. And I have this nurse who apparently doesn't normally work at the trauma wing, I found out later. And she looks me in the eyes. All I can remember is these beautiful eyes of hers. And she's like, look, I need you not to hit the pain button anymore tonight. And I'm like, okay. She's like, you need to be here for your son. I'm like, well, yeah, I want to see my son. And she's like, no, you need to be here for your son. Like, again, let me just say, the reason none of this is sinking in is because it's an impossible thought to think, oh, I've just lost my kid. Do you know what I mean? No one's thinking, oh, my kid's dead, or my kid's gonna die, or my kid's not recovering from this. That's not a logical place for your brain to go. So I'm in pain and I'm in shock, and I'm at this point drugged up, and she's like, no, I need you need to go see Alana. So this started the first of many times where, for whatever reason, they are not allowed to transfer you in the bed that's in the room. They have to move you to another bed. They're very similar beds. I don't understand. I had everything from like here to down to through my pelvis shattered. And I couldn't move by my own volition. And it's not comfortable being moved, having people pick you up and drop you. Okay, they got better at it as my stay in the hospital progressed, but those first couple times, holy crap. But I need to go see Alon. So they wheel me to Alon's room, and I don't know what to say about that. I don't know that night what I saw, what I felt. That might have been the night that they let me sleep with him. I'm not sure.